So we start. This is now our life story. You know that you were named, right? You were named, but your first. What is your first name when you were born? You were called a zygote. This is just tracing our life story. We pick up from chapter 27. Here is the egg. You see the egg that we fertilized. Remember? So I'm gonna write down first. I have to draw the cell division. There's like 23, and then the mommy gene, right? And then we double up. Then you divide that way. So this is meiosis 1. That's the copy. And then the other one. This is the first polar body. The 23 and the other copy. And see, there's the polar body. That's the 23. That's the other copy. And this is the other 23 and the other copy. Okay. And then you proceed, this one you proceed with prophase 2, metaphase 2. So this is metaphase 2. And they will just proceed with anaphase 2 if there's a sperm that got lucky. If there's no sperm, we will menstruate that egg that is arrested at metaphase 2 of meiosis 2. It won't proceed. And so what happens is, this is the egg that we ovulate. This is the egg that's in your pelvic cavity. Look at, we're not only ovulating an egg, we're ovulating an egg covered by a layer of follicle cells. Look at that. It's just like the egg that we buy in the store. That egg has a hard shell to protect it, right? That's the same thing here. Do you notice that the cell membrane of the egg has this, what you call zona pellucida? That is a thick secretion that is made by the egg. Of course, to protect it, you're going to ovulate it. So I guess you can say that this is the equivalent of the acrosome of the sperm. But the zona pellucida is really protected. In addition, there's a layer of follicle cells. So, see, the path of sperm. The layer of follicle cells is called corona because it's surrounding it like a crown, corona radiata. So the sperm really has to weaken this corona radiata and then weaken this zona pellucida before it can pass through the plasma membrane and meet with the chromosome. That's the path of the sperm. That's why we need those millions of sperm. Now you understand, it's not only through you don't only need those millions of sperm because they have to have a long trip to the vagina, the cervix, the uterus, and then split off. But even when they meet with the egg, a lot of the sperm is going to sacrifice themselves so that one will be lucky. You only need one sperm. If there's two sperms, that will be 23 plus 23 plus 23. That's not the human chromosome, right? So you only need one sperm. In fact, if one is lucky to enter, to penetrate that egg, the egg undergoes what you call reverse polyspermy. The egg will first, it has weakened, and then it will completely repair itself even harder, preventing the others to come. So they just get tired, they move away. So this one will keep moving. So this, what happens when the sperm meets with this egg? Is there a match.com? No. In fact, fertilization is referred to as fusion. They just fuse. There's about one day where they get to know each other. No. They don't say, hi, I'm the sperm. Oh, hi, I'm the egg. Nice to meet you. There is no such thing. It's just called fusion. The book says fusion. They just fuse. So this is referred to as a female pronucleus. Look at, they just meet. And then what is this? Isn't this the cell already? What's the definition of the cell? It's the smallest unit of life. It's alive. So it's just a matter of opinion, but in my opinion, life begins right there. A cell is alive. And what's going on here? Already metabolism. Look at. So first, this fusion, see, there's the female pronucleus, so that's the male pronucleus, there's the female pronucleus, they fuse, you have the zygote. This is called the zygote. That's your first baby name. Okay? You are called a zygote when you were formed. This is the first life. When did that happen? When they fused. When does fusion happen? Fertilization. The moment they meet, they fuse already. And look at this one. Right? Right after they fuse and you form the new cell, it starts being metabolically active. It's alive. So one of the events of metabolism is cell division. Look at. So some books say as early as 6 hours to maybe 1 day, you're no longer one cell. You're no longer called a zygote. You're now two cells, right? Then 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8, 16. In fact, look at day 5. Look at you by day 5. This is you. The cells, our cells just start dividing. They divide around a central cavity, like a ball. And by day 5, you don't even know you're pregnant yet, right? Because we wait for a period 2 weeks after ovulation. But I want to look at this. That's why what you think the morning after pill or all, the best really is to just abstain from sex. Because when we do morning after pill and all that stuff, the baby is no longer one cell. It's many cells already. And what those pills are doing, they're trying to make this board and lodging unfriendly. But that's life already. Look at, we magnify this. This is how it looks like by day 5. This is you. So what happens is, let's go back to the picture right here. Right here. See, look at, we just divide. And we divide into 2 groups of cells. One is called the inner cell mass, which is, this is your first baby picture, right? And this is the outer cell mass. So from this is made up of lots of stem cells. And let's look at how it proceeds. Look at this picture right here. Look at this one. See? By day 6, see, there's where fertilization happens. It's alive. It's alive. It's 2 cells, 4 cells, 8 cells, 16 cells. And then by day 6, at the end of week 1, it's already implanted in the uterus of the mom. So this uterus should be prepared. And that's what your hormones do. Progesterone is preparing this bed. Because why? It needs to feed on the mother. So what's going on is, if you look at this picture right here, after fertilization, it divides to form. So zygote is your first name, and then you're called a blastocyst. Blastocyst. Where the inner cell mass is referred to as the embryo, embryoblast, and the outer cell mass is the trophoblast. So what happens so this embryoblast is you. This is you. So, review our terms while we're still in our mother's uterus. When we were one cell, that's the proper term, zygote. You were a zygote for no more than 1 day. After 1 day, for sure, you are now an embryo. For sure. And you are an embryo until 8 weeks of pregnancy. After 8 weeks, you're called fetus. You're fetus until birth. And then when you're born, you're called newborn. You're a newborn for the first 8 weeks of your life. From 8 weeks up to 2 years old, you are called infant. And then 2 to 4, is it 2 to 4? You're called a toddler, right? And then 5 to what age? 5 to a child. A child is 5 to what? 10 or 11?
It might be
Child.
preteen as 12.
And then anyway, after that one, what, beginning 11 years old, you are called
Preteen.
a pain in the butt is what you're called. Okay? So I still have one more here with you. Anyway, you know those terms you see? Okay?
Trophoblast, is that you said that's a cell surrounding?
Correct. And what will that be? That will be the placenta, isn't it? Okay? There's you. There's your trophoblast. See? There's the embryoblast. That's you. It's called embryoblast. Look at what happened to the trophoblast. The trophoblast is made up of cells that has, I'm going to highlight it right here. See? There's the trophoblast. It actually differentiates into syncytial trophoblast and cytotroph. Too many terms for you guys to know. Anyway, look at, there's the outer cell mass. Look at these outer cells, the outer cells, they secrete an enzyme called hyaluronidase that is able to weaken the wall of the uterus of the mother so that it's able to penetrate, like invade, and get close to the blood supply of the mother. The mother at the same time will also have its contribution. And this is what forms the placenta right here. But the placenta, so the placenta is the point of, see, look up, until you have the placenta. Now remember, one thing important to know about the placenta, here, they magnified it. So the placenta, there is no meeting. There's no, see, there's the mother blood vessel, and there's the baby blood vessel. There's no mixing of the blood. The placenta, substances move by diffusion. That's it, right? But there's no mixing. That's why it's possible to have a different blood type for the baby between the mother and the baby, different blood type. It's okay. They don't mix. Remember when we were talking about blood typing, it's not until the baby is born that there's, so when the baby is born, there's possible mixing. But it's okay to carry different blood type because it's completely different, separate the blood supply. So if you look at this picture right here, first, it was just like this, not differentiated yet. So the next stage within the first trimester, the first 12 weeks, what will happen, the first 12 weeks is referred to as organogenesis, and then the second 12 weeks, so trimester, the second trimester, the organs are already in place. Organogenesis meaning the organs are already in place. Then the second trimester, the organs just, organomegaly, it just gets bigger. But the organs, everything is formed right here, you see? So from this picture, this one, from here, the next step is called gastrulation, where this inner cell mass differentiates into 3 germ layers: the endoderm, the ectoderm, and the mesoderm. I'm not going to ask you to memorize. I just want you to picture in your head. Okay, one more time. First, we were like this. See? There's your inner cell mass. Then, as we proceed after day 7, this you start developing your, it's called gastrulation. You form your germ layers. They start differentiating into, see? Endoderm, exoderm, and mesoderm. Here it is. Keeps keeps dividing, dividing, dividing. Right there. This is how it looks like. So the see, endoderm, mesoderm, and ectoderm. So from the ectoderm, this is where your skin, this becomes your skin and your nervous tissue. The mesoderm becomes your muscle. And the endoderm is everything, your internal organs, everything. And that's how you form. It just divide, divide, divide until it assumes a shape. That's the baby right there. Slowly develops until right here. You are born. Now, so the whole duration that you are in your mother's belly, this is called pregnancy, okay? Pregnancy is a very big responsibility. Everyone knows that. But a lot of young kids are not aware of that. Think about pregnancy, the big responsibility lies on the mother. What is the contribution of the father to the baby? Think about what's the composition of the sperm? The sperm contains what? The 23 chromosomes. What else? What's the neck? What's the composition?
Mitochondria.
Yes, very good. The mitochondria. And then the tail is the flagella. So what is the contribution of the father to the new baby? It's just really the 23 chromosomes and maybe the mitochondria. That's it. Do you remember we were looking at the cell? The cell has the nucleus, the organelles, you have the lysosomes, everything. Where do you think the rest of the organelles came from? The mother. Okay, the mother. Now, when the baby implants in the uterus, it's just one cell. It has to divide. Don't you think to divide it needs ingredients? Where are the ingredients coming from? From the mother. Very important for us, okay? If you have children, young kids, they'll be pregnant, maybe. You educate them. There is what you call critical period, okay? The critical period is the period where the organs of the baby is being formed. In other words, this is the only period where the heart is formed. And you have to provide the ingredients to form the heart here. If you didn't provide, you missed it. Maybe the baby will be born looking normal and healthy, but watch. I also teach nutrition, and I love this book by Incel, and it says there, the single most important predictor of adult health is prenatal health. So I'm sure, maybe when you get old, you get your blood work, you say, oh, I'm a hypertensive. I don't know. I'm the first one in my family, hypertensive. None in my dad, none in my mom. Maybe prenatal diet. That's why it's very important to be educated during pregnancy. You have to provide the ingredients necessary to produce the nice, healthy, everything, heart of the baby during this period. Okay? When the baby is born, you say, oh, it's okay, it's okay. When the baby is born, I'm going to compensate for that one. A lot of women, they're afraid of their, what we call it, the figure, etc., right? I'm going to compensate when my baby is born. You missed that period. Your baby will be born beautiful, etc., etc. But maybe there is a compromise in a certain enzyme that it was supposed to produce. It can't do it anymore. So there's a lack in the actual composition maybe of the heart. So even though it's healthy, blood vessels are healthy, but the wall is not as strong as the wall of one who is born with all the ingredients in place. So remember this one. During the first trimester, in case maybe the nutrition of the mother was compromised or maybe the mother got sick, it's the CNS and the cardiovascular system that will be compromised. If towards the third trimester, the mother, something happened to the mother, it's the respiratory system that will be compromised. You see, critical periods. What does critical mean? You have to provide everything. And who has to provide? Does the dad have to? No, it's the mother. We have to watch our alcohol, everything. Fetal alcohol syndrome is a very real consequence, right? A lot of people, they drink because they don't know they're pregnant. Then their babies will be born with fetal alcohol syndrome. A lot of fetal alcohol babies, they can develop to maturity, no problem. But you will notice that there's a difference in the intelligence of babies with fetal alcohol. They look normal. I have a nephew who has fetal alcohol syndrome, and thankfully he graduated from college also. He's trying to become a chef, but you can tell there's a difference. You see. Do you understand what critical period means? This is very important, especially for you guys who are still young. Maybe one day you get married. One day you want to have kids. Remember your responsibility. It's fun to be pregnant. It's a nice experience. But just always remember, think, how is the baby going to form its heart, its brain, its everything? How is it going to? You have to provide all the ingredients. That's why there is such a thing as nutrition. You have to pay attention to your nutrition while you're pregnant. In fact, the whole lifetime, we have to pay attention to our nutrition. But maybe this is why some of us do well in school, some of us struggle. Maybe you can trace it to your prenatal nutrition, your mother. Maybe your mother was just, what do they do? Only just, some people when they're pregnant, they only like to eat salted eggs or whatever, right? But they crave it and that's all they want. And some people become allergic to this one. You need to educate them. Where is that baby going to get the ingredients to form all the organs from you? So there is no such thing as compensating when the baby is born. So look at what happens. See, when the baby is ready to give birth, the baby starts releasing this stress hormone, secretion of cortisol. So let's look at the changes going on during pregnancy as the baby becomes big. It makes sense, right? Look at the GI organs. They're pushed. So that's why we become constipated. The bladder is being pushed right there. So there's urinary frequency. What else? You feel full fast. There's increased what? Heartburn. That's right. There's also increased weight. Where is the weight coming from? The weight is coming from, of course, the baby, but the mother also starts to have increase in blood volume, and that extra blood volume is also extra weight for us. There's extra fat. What do we need the extra fat for? The extra fat is actually very important. The fat is for energy reserves, and when you go into labor, you need that energy to be able to push the baby so the baby comes out. Okay? And here is when you go into term, see? First, the cervix relaxes, softens, and it dilates, and the baby comes out. A lot of pictures. I remember when I was rotating in the OBGYN, they say, these are the stages. It's so funny. First, there's the internal rotation, then the external rotation, and then the head pops out. So I was so obsessed in trying to look at all those events when I handled my first delivery. It's just very quick. Thank goodness I had my lap coat. I remember the baby fell and I had to catch the baby. It's very slippery. It will come out and you have to hold it as the head comes up very quickly within a second. You have to grab those legs lock them like this. Otherwise, that baby will slip. So, but it's okay. You have your lab coat. You catch the baby. Okay. So now, once the baby is born, we breastfeed, right? Why is breastfeeding, by the way, very healthy for the baby? Why is breastfeeding good for the baby? Yes, very good. And breast milk, you educate your friends, okay? And even you maybe look at the baby. When the baby is born, do you agree? It doesn't have any enzymes yet, right? It's sterile. And that's why the baby is given vitamin K. It doesn't make its own vitamin. Remember, vitamin K is made by the bacteria of your GI tract. Remember that? The baby gets an injection of vitamin K because it doesn't. It's everything inside is sterile. It has a sterile environment. Okay, and it's not able to make its own enzymes. The amylase, the pepsin, it's protein synthesis is what makes all those enzymes. So breastfeeding the baby is so good because the ingredients in breast milk are in their basic form. The glucose, the proteins, the fats, they're in their simple forms that the baby has no problem digesting it. Very easy for the baby to absorb it. That's why a lot of babies given formula, they will have diarrhea. Okay. One more thing, breast milk. The first milk that comes out is called colostrum. Within the first 3-4 days, let's say 1 week, that's not real, well, it's free breast milk. It's called colostrum. And this is the richest secretion, richest type of breast milk. It's very rich in IgA, which is an antibody, right? And it protects the baby's GI tract, respiratory tract, the lining, so that breastfed babies, they rarely have diarrhea, and they will have very infrequent, very rare cases of respiratory tract. I breastfed Lily until she was 3 years old. I've never taken her to the ER. Never. No cough and cold, nothing. Because of IgA. Okay? And so, genetics and inheritance, I don't think we'll have time to talk, but do you understand this genetics and inheritance, the Punnett square? Okay? There's the dominant and recessive, and then there's also the co-dominant, where both of them are dominant. And that's the co-dominant is your ABO blood group. So if you're type A and the daddy is type B, both of them will be expressed. There's non-recessive, so that the baby becomes a B. So they're co-dominant. And just this picture, I like this slide. Because I always remember that girl who came to me asking, I just have a question. If I am in type A and my husband is type B, can I have a baby who's type O? And I said, of course. And she was just jumping up and down. Anyway, you see, you can be AB, you can have a type O baby. Just remember the Punnett square. And I'm sure everyone knows this. I'm not going to ask this is too much for us to know, but there's the dominant and recessive, there's the co-dominant, and there's also the sex-linked inheritance. So every gene from the autosomal gene to the sex genes, they carry traits, and it depends on what traits that we have, that's the one that will be expressed. So we can have a completely different trait from our sibling. We can look like the milkman. Don't they say that you look like the milkman? But that's not true. It's just this difference in expression of this chromosome. See, this one right here. So there's tremendous mixing. So you can have a totally different appearance than your siblings. You have any questions with that? You are done with AMP. You survived.